What's up, my name is Shanjai and welcome back to this brand new video. In this video we're going to be learning how to send emails using Sendgrid and Node.js. We're also going to be using GraphQL together with Apollo server on the backend in order to create the server. Once we have created that, we'll be hosting that onto Heroku, and we are also going to be creating a front end to it, which is going to be a very basic contact form. We're also going to be using React and Tailwind CSS in order to create that contact form pretty easily. And then we're going to be integrating our GraphQL server with this, and then we're going to be able to send emails like a usual contact form. So that is what we're going to be doing, guys. It's going to be kind of a series video, so make sure you guys, I hope you guys do like this series. If you guys have any questions, just make sure to leave it down in the comments. If you guys have any questions as well, and also any video ideas, just leave it down in the comments, guys. It will be really helpful. And leave a like on this video if you like this video. Also subscribe to my channel if you haven't. Thank you so much for 1,500 subscribers, guys, for all of you guys who have subscribed. And let's just get into this video and just start with creating the backend for this. Okay guys, so right now let's go ahead and set up Sendgrid, install it, do all the environmental setups, and then let's get started with that. So let me open up Google Chrome. So right now I've signed in to Sendgrid. So basically what you have to do is sign in to Sendgrid, and that's pretty much it. Just sign up for the free trial, and then you can start using their email service. So once you sign in or sign up, you will be greeted with this dashboard. So let's go to the email API section and go to integration guide. So we go to integration guide, it's going to load, and then we'll be able to set up our email stuff over here itself. So let's create a web API, not SMTP. We'll click on web. So they have a bunch of languages that they do support. We're going to be using Node.js because that is what we're going to be using in order to create the server for us. So right now they have given all the instructions to help us set up our API. So that's what we're going to be doing. So let's create our API key right now. I'll just say test123. I'll say create key, and they will generate API key based on the text that I've given. They'll hash it or something. They'll give a API key, so we should use that in order to access their email API service. So they have given the API key. Let me copy this, and we're going to be creating a .env file where we'll be saving this and using this to send the emails, obviously. So let's go ahead. Let me go ahead to Visual Studio Code. Let's initialize an npm project. Let's say npm init. Have I opened up a folder? Okay, let me open up a folder. Let's go to desktop and create a new folder saying email sending. Create it, and we'll open that folder up. So once it's opened, let's open up the terminal. Let's say npm init-y, which is going to initialize a npm package for us. Let me expand this. We go to package.json. All of these stuff are there, which are very basic stuff. All the scripts are there, which we will be changing. Let's also install Nodemon as a dependency package, so it's not up on production or the server that we are going to be hosting. Because once we make changes to our file, we want that to directly reflect on what we are doing with our API. So let's install that. So that's what Nodemon is going to do. Every time you save your file, it's going to kind of refresh the server and create a new server. So we have installed Nodemon. That is done. Let's also install .env, because we are going to be creating .env files. So we need to have this package in order to initialize, configure this in order to use it. So let's create a new file called .env, and as we copied the API key, let me copy that again. Let's copy the key, let's paste it, and that should be equals to this API key. Let me go ahead and paste it right here. Yeah, so right now the API key is all set up in the environment. Let's open up a new file called index.js, where we will be initializing our server using GraphQL or Apollo server basically, and then we're going to be creating a mutation in order to send emails. You could easily do this using Node.js, but just in case you're using GraphQL for your project, we might want to use this use this way of doing it. But then you are doing it using Node.js is going to be very similar. You just don't use a mutation, you have a separate route for it. So that's basically what makes it different from creating with Node.js. We also, in order to implement that, we need to install Apollo server. So let's npm install Apollo server. So it's going to install that for us. Okay, let's wait. Okay, once that is done, let's import Apollo server. So let's say const equals to require Apollo server. Let's import Apollo server. Okay, once that is done, let me do my mic. Okay, let's create a server right now. So const server will be equals to new Apollo server, and Apollo server basically needs two things, which is going to be type definition and resolvers. We could also pass down context, which is going to be available for all of the resolvers that we do, kind of like all the functions that we create in GraphQL. So let's also create type definitions and resolvers. Let's say type defs.js. So in order to use type definitions, we need to use a specific GraphQL tag called GQL, which is going to transfer basically translate our code into what GraphQL can understand. So let's import GQL. There's also a separate library in order to import it, but you can basically use Apollo server for that itself. GQL, and let's say const type defs will be equal to GQL, and that's gonna you have to open up template literals and then write all the queries and mutations. Let's export this. Let's also create resolvers. Const resolvers equals an empty object for now, because we don't have any mutations to begin writing resolvers. So right now everything is just initialized and exported, so we can just import it and get all this stuff, the server initialized basically. Let's also import resolvers, and let's put that in here. So if you guys are not much familiar with GraphQL, I would recommend you guys watching my previous video, which is to create a social media application using GraphQL, Node.js and Apollo server. It's going to be a very in-depth video. We're going to be talking about all of this stuff. But if you want to learn pretty much the basics, so this is what most of the applications use. But you guys can also check out the previous video that we made on the channel. So let's put type definitions and resolver. We should listen to this server on a port. So let's say server.listen, and that's gonna be on, let's initialize a variable called port, process.env.port. If that is not there, then we listen to it on port 4000. Let's pass in the variable dot. Then once the the server is connected, it will return an URL for us, which we can use to console.log. Let's put an emoji, or let's say server is running on, and let's pass in the URL. And in case it doesn't if it doesn't run the server, we can also console.log the error when connecting to server, and then we can pass that error in there. And also, as we install Nodemon, we can initialize the command for running Nodemon. So we don't need the emoji bar for now. So once we say npm start, we want to run the command nodemon index.js. So that's going to listen for changes in all the files. So we have created our server. Let's create a type definition for an email. So type email should basically have a message, which is gonna be string, and from whoever we got it from, the message who we got it from is going to be a string, and also we need the description, which is basically the message. We don't need a subject because that's something we're gonna hard code. It's not something the user is able to send. So we need the message and from whom it is being sent. So if we go to a normal contact form, those are the stuff that you might have to put in. So let's say let's create a mutation which is to send the email. We need the input. This is going to be email input, which we will create, and then we'll get a response. So let's initialize both of them. Let's create both of them. So email input will require the message, which is going to be a string, and the from, which is going to be a string as well. We also need response. Response type response is gonna have, if it's a success, boolean, and message string. No, we'll just have success, boolean, message string, and error, which is also going to be a string. So in case we have any error from Sendgrid, we're going to throw that there. And response is also non-nullable. Email input is also required. Type definitions is done. Let's go to resolvers. Let's open up this resolvers. It's a mutation. It's going to be an object. Let's open up send email, and this is basically going to be asynchronous because we're going to be using the Sendgrid API in order to run our Sendgrid send our email. So async, which passes 4 parameters: the root, the arguments, and the context. We don't need the context, but let's just have that. And also we don't need the info, so we are not going to be having that. And right now we need to integrate with the Sendgrid email API. So let's just clear this. Let's say npm start just to see if the server is all working. So query root type must be provided. So we need a basic query here. So let's say email. If there is an email query, it will return an email. So we are not going to be having that. We are not going to be creating a query for that or a resolver for that, but let's just have it there just to remove the error. So server is running on localhost port 4000. Okay, so right now let's go to Google Chrome and install the Sendgrid package, which is going to be at @sendgrid/mail. Let me open up Google Chrome, open up new terminal, npm install. Okay, it's already there. Npm install save Sendgrid/mail. Okay guys, so right now let's go to our resolvers and import Sendgrid mail. Let's just say Sendgrid mail equals require. Okay, require at Sendgrid mail. Okay, so right now we have to set the API key which we put in our process in our env file. So Sendgrid mail dot set API key process dot env dot Sendgrid API. Guess that is the name that we put. Sendgrid API key. Let me put that, and we have to right now here initialize to whom we have to send it, from what email we have to send it, what is the subject, what is the message, if there's any HTML content that we have to send, all those stuff. So rather than having it in the function that we have to send, let's just create an object for it, object for all of the the data that we have to send. So let's just call it message, which is an object, and to whom we have to send it, which we are getting from the input variable from arguments. Let's just remove this. So we go to type definitions. The input has the property message and from. So from whom we are getting So from whom we are getting to, and basically we don't need to send it to anyone. We just need to send it to our own email, or just the contact at any company name or their business email. So right now let me just send it to my email. So the from attribute, basically the from needs to be the email that is associated with SendGrid. So if your SendGrid is maybe associated with test email, test@gmail.com, you want to send an email to test123, you have to use test@gmail.com for the from from word, or from whom you have to send. You have to put the test email, which is because SendGrid has already initialized all the permissions and stuff for your particular email, so you have to do that. So that is on rajan666@gmail.com, and we also have to initialize the subject. So the subject is going to be email from contact form. Okay, and the text is going to be input dot. So the text we can customize it. So let's customize it. Let's say email from input dot from, and let's put message is going to be input dot message, which is a text that we're going to be sending to the email. And basically that's it. You could also have HTML in it, so we could have this text into HTML, but basically this is very basic, and this is just a job for everyone. So let's say sendgrid mail dot send, and we're gonna pass this message, which is gonna have all the things that SendGrid requires. This returns a promise. So let's say dot then wanna return, sorry guys, so we have to return it in a specific way, which is to have success, message and error properties. So let's have this. So dot then, so if it passes, so success is true, message will be equals to successfully sent email, and error is null. In that case error is null. Dot catch, we might get an error in case if there is an error. Let's pass it here. Success is false, message is null, and error will be equal to the error that we get from SendGrid. So basically right now we do have everything that we need in order to send an email through SendGrid. Let's go to our server. Okay, everything's running. Right now let's go to GraphQL Playground and check whether all of this stuff that we have done is working. Let's cut this, zoom in. Let's create a mutation, which is to send email, and we're going to initialize a variable which is the input, which is input because this is not the one that we initialized on our code. We can put any name for this. Let's say input. It is going to be send email input, I guess. Put the type definitions. It's going to be email input. Open this up. Send email. It accepts input as a property that it needs. Send email is going to return success, message, and an error. So why is there an error here? Expecting type email import. Okay, it's non-nullable. Okay, that's what we need. So let's create a query variable. Open up input, and what we need is message is no, wait, so from should be, let's just say raj@gmail.com. let's hit this. Cannot return null for non-nullable field mutation. Okay. Okay, so what GraphQL does is it doesn't handle promises like dot then and dot catch. It needs async await. So let's say email await, and we can basically use try catch block here instead of this. So we will need that. We don't need this, and at this point success is false, message is null, and the error is the error that we are getting from Sendgrid. Let's go ahead to GraphQL. Let's run this. Unauthorized raj666@gmail.com. Let's go ahead and check if there's any problem. Just say console.log email. Okay, we have not initialized .env. .env equals require .env, and let's config that. So maybe right now it might work. Okay, so we have sent the email. So previously why it didn't work is because we were using process.env inside of resolver, but we didn't initialize .env in our index.js, so it wasn't able to go to .env and get the data. So right now that is done. Let's go ahead to my Gmail and check whether we have got this email. So I have put the to Shanjai's dev, so it should be to my email. Let me go ahead and check. So if I go ahead right here, I can see I have got the email. Let me just refresh. I've got the email from raj@gmail.com. message is test message. As you guys can see, it's 0 minutes ago. You can also try sending another message, which will make it appear here. Okay, it might take some time, I guess. If I go here, yeah, this is second email. Dot basically means the same email is coming again. So as you guys can see, the email is being actually sent. So right now we can go ahead and host this on Heroku. This is going to be our next part of this video. Hope you guys will join us on that part as well. If you guys had any questions for this particular section where we created the server, make sure to leave it down in the comments down below, and we'll try to answer them. Surely we'll answer them. And make sure you guys leave a like on this video, subscribe to this channel, leave a comment if you guys have any, and I'll see you in the next video where I'll be setting up and hosting this on Heroku.